Hi, I'm Lynn, and this is a different kind of video on YouTube. I know whenever I was going through this, I was looking everywhere on YouTube for a video like this, and I couldn't find any. And so I was just thinking, why don't I make one? And if you couldn't already tell from the title, I was in a mental hospital, but I'm going to call it Lakeview for this video because that's what it was called, and I don't really like saying mental hospital. And so basically, I've seen a lot about what it's like being in a mental hospital, but I've never seen one about what it's like being the youngest, and I was the youngest. I'm 13 now, but when I was at Lakeview, I was 12, and it ranged from the ages of, like you could be there if you were from 10 to 19, and there was nobody under 12 or 12. The second youngest was 15 or 14, and it's difficult being there in general, but I think being the youngest made it slightly more nerve-wracking. And so I made a list of things to say, and so I'm just gonna say them. So I wasn't doing inpatient program. I was supposed to, and if you don't know what that means, it means where you stay overnight for a week, but instead I did the PHP program, which I'm not sure what that stands for. I think it's like, I don't know, I'm sorry, but basically I would wake up, and it was like a 45-minute drive, and it started at 9, I think, or 8:20 or something like that, and so you had to be there at that time, and I would go there, and you would stay for like the length of a school day. It ended at 2, I think, and then you would go home, and then you'd go back the next day, and I did that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and I just wanted to like go over what it was like and stuff. So basically, I was really scared, and once I got there, I realized that I should have been scared, but not as scared as I was, because it was, I'm going to be honest for this video, it was about as bad as I thought it was going to be. Everything that I thought was going to happen, happened, but not as severely. So basically, the first thing that I noticed was that the lobby was huge. Like, well, it wasn't huge. It was bigger than I thought it was going to be, because they had a giant front desk, and the seating area was big, but it was empty. There was like nobody there, and you could see, like, if you go this way, then you'll see like all the people who are staying for just that day, and then this way is the inpatients, and it was children and adults, so it was a mix of people in different rooms, obviously, but basically they had me wait there and fill out the papers, and it was really nerve-wracking. And it was another girl's first day there too, but she was 14. She was the other youngest person that was going to be in there, and she was crying her eyes out, and I was so scared because I was like, has she been here before? But what turned out, she had just come out of inpatient. I'm not going to say her name in case she sees this or whatever, but yeah. And then whenever you go into the room, it's a so small room, and there's so many people, and they're all like, I don't mean this in like a stereotypical way, but they were all so like badass looking. They were like piercings and tattoos and just stuff like that, and I was so scared. But they all, like, as soon as I walked in, they said they liked my hair, and it wasn't like this whenever I went there. It was just the blue and purple part. And this one girl, I'm gonna call her C, she said she liked my hair, and me and C became really like close friends, and I still talk to her sometimes, but she was 15, I think, and so yeah. And the people most of them were really nice. No one was like mean on purpose. You would get ignored or like walked over, and I'm not small, I'm young, but I'm not small. I'm like 5'3" or 5'4", so I'm pretty tall for my age, and then I was 5'3", so I'm still pretty tall for my age, and I wasn't like the shortest one there and the smallest one there. And I was really nervous. I didn't want to go to the mental hospital, but I was having such bad problems at school that I was refusing to go to school. Because my mom, she would go to work, and then I would go to the bus stop, and I just called her, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to school, because her work is like an hour away from our house, so there was no way she could have come back and then got me to school in time for it to be worth it. And so she was just like, okay, whatever. And then that night we were talking, and she was like, in the morning I'm going to take you to Lakeview, and because you're having such bad problems, you need to figure this out and all this stuff. And I was having self-harm problems, but I'm not going to go into my problems. I'm going to go than what it was like at Lakeview. And the lunch, that was probably the worst part because not only the lunch is really gross, I'm just gonna say that. I don't know if it's bad at other places, but everyone there was talking about this other mental hospital called Ridgeview, I think, and they were saying how the food is so much worse there, and I was so surprised, like, how could the food be worse there? It was awful. And basically, there is kind of a popularity thing, but it's based on who's been there the longest. So by the end of my time being there, I was considered like one of the popular people because I had been there for one of the longest as anyone else had. There were a couple other people who had been there as long as I have, but they were like always there. So yeah, most people would stay for 1 to 4 weeks. And so at lunch, I sat by myself the first few days, but then they started not allowing that, so I was forced to sit next to everyone. The tables, you would go through like the lunch line like you would at school, and then all the tables were back here. I don't know if you can really tell because I'm using my hands and the camera's so small. Oh, by the way, this is my microphone. My penguin is holding it up for me, so yeah. And I would say if you're going to be the youngest, you shouldn't be too scared because it wasn't that scary because you're always with an adult and they're really nice, but some people who have like worse problems than you, it can be kind of scary because there's this one girl who saw people at night at her house, and she would always talk about the angels in her ceiling, and she always had something like this. They gave us these after she brought one in, and they're called fidgets, and I would take it to school whenever I went back to school. I ended up stopped going altogether and doing online school, but that'll be a different video if this like does well and you guys want to see that kind of thing. But they gave us these fidget toys, and they were super cool. And so yeah, there was that. And I'm trying to think of what else to say. I don't know how long I've been recording for, but probably not that long. Okay, anyways, the oldest person there was a boy, and he was 19. I don't remember his name. I think it started with a K or a C, but we already have a C, so he'll be K. But he was also, a lot of the people there vaped, which that wasn't allowed, but anytime someone would walk out of the room, they would just like pull it out of their pocket and be like, and it smelled so good, so it wasn't like, it didn't bother me. Nobody smoked in there. They would just vape, and then anytime the people walked out, it'd be funny. And I was always one of the last people there because they also had people doing AHP. It's called something else, I don't know. But those people would leave at 12, so they would leave through half the day, and then you'd have a smaller group of people, and then we would go to the rec room. And then there was a boy there who I still am in contact with. His name is M. I'm gonna just call him M. And he's super cool. He came there like a week after I did, and he was 13, so we were pretty close in age. And then there was a boy who was 15. I was like totally into. I'm gonna just put it that way. And he was 15, and I don't remember his name. We don't talk anymore. I think it might have started with a B. So yeah, and we would play cards every day, but he had anger issues, and so I would let him win sometimes so he wouldn't like throw the cards or something. But we played games every time in rec, which was like where you would go to play tennis and just chill out with people and color and stuff. And I learned a secret there. If they ever give you coloring therapy, don't do it, because they'll give you stuff that's like, here, I have one right here because I like coloring. They would give you stuff that's like really small like that, and then they would give you pencils that don't have a sharp tip, so you would mess up. And basically the concept of it would be for you to mess up and get mad at it and then like blurt out your problems or something. It just annoyed people. Like, I don't agree with that kind of therapy. But I played tennis, or ping pong, it wasn't tennis, and stuff like that, and it was so cool. And I'm 100% better, by the way, so just in case, Lakeview definitely helped me. I thought it was going to be useless at first, but I fully support it. If my kids ever have problems like this, I think that they should go somewhere like this, because I think it's extremely helpful. And yeah, that's good. And also, this was they gave you a folder there. This was mine. I don't know if you can tell, this says Lynn on it. And I'm going to just show you a couple. every day you would have to fill out one of these sheets. This one isn't filled out because it was my last day, so I didn't really feel like it needed to be filled out. But I'm gonna go ahead and read you like the things that it says so that you can know like what you're gonna have to fill out. And I was so nervous because you have to read this out loud, and I didn't know that. So on my first day they gave me this, and it's like a bunch of personal information, and then you have to read it for the whole group, and it was awful. So that's the only thing that I was like, no. This is like, you have to put I slept blank hours last night, and then you have to put like if you have difficulty falling asleep or like difficulty getting up and like stuff like that right there. Then how much you ate, which I wasn't having eating problems. I did have sleeping problems, but just because I have nightmares, but I didn't have any eating problems. And then it's like, did you stay hygienic, like did you shower and brush your teeth and stuff? Did you, like, your thoughts are racing, slowed, stuff like that. My thoughts contain obsessions, fears, paranoia, good things, just stuff like that. And then if you had thoughts of wanting to or had a plan to hurt yourself, that's right there. And then if you had a plan to or wanted to hurt someone else. And then on the back you put I was sick last night, this was wrong, if that applied to you. Any withdrawal symptoms from like if you had a smoking or drinking problem. What issues you need help with the most, issues with family or friends, most grateful for, and then your signature and or a patient signature. And this is like comments they would put, but we never really did like half the backside because we didn't need signatures and stuff. And then that was basically a daily thing, which I don't think they should do that, because I think a lot of people want to keep that to themselves. I know I did, because I didn't know any of those people. And when I first walked in, all the people, like, because there were extra chairs, but the room was really small, like it could barely fit all of us, and there were like 15 kids, and there were chairs in the middle because there were way too many chairs than what the room needed, so they had their feet on them, and there was like no room for me, so they had to like shift the whole room over, like everyone had to scoot over their chair, then someone had to take their feet off the chair, and I felt so bad, but yeah. And then there's like a lot of papers in here, like this is just like half of it. And basically, oh well, there's a booklet in here. This is what, this was an anger booklet, but I left while they were doing this, so I never finished it. But then they would give you stuff like, most of this stuff is blank because they don't care if you do it or not. I liked listening to other people, in my opinion, a lot better. Drawing lines helped me. I would sit there and draw lines, if you can see on that one. This was a tree we had to draw. I don't know if I have the tree, or this is the bush, but you had to like, for the roots of the tree you had to write or draw symbols of strengths, talents, and abilities. The branches meant this, the things meant this, and then we had to draw a bush that represented ourselves. And then they give you a copy in black and white, but the whole point is to use colors to express yourself. And this is this was my bush. I put it in, I was so like, trying to be emo, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. This is just how I felt, but you had to put it in a location, and I just put it nowhere because like that's where my brain was at. I wasn't thinking about anything. And then you had to like draw flowers or whatever on it. And I drew all the flowers gray except for this one that's darker because it's printed in black and white. You can't really tell, but it was purple. And because I was like, the one thing, oh, both of these sides were purple, it wasn't purple and blue, so I was like, that's the one thing that really represents me, I think, I don't know. And then they would just give you this was the first day I was there, we had to read this like poem or whatever about a hook, and like they're basically saying you're here on the hook and the person that you're mad at is here on the hook, and in order for you to get off the hook you have to let that person off the hook first. And it was confusing. They have a lot of weird metaphors there. And then you would meditate every day, which I thought was weird because I don't meditate. Oh, and then every day at the end you had to do this gratitude journal. And basically you had to put 3 things that were like you were grateful for. I scribbled on it a lot, if you can't tell. That's my scribbling. Oh, and then I tore off a couple pieces because I was giving people my, like, numbers and stuff, because you weren't allowed to do that, so I couldn't, like, pick up their phone and put in my number. I had to, like, sneak it to them. It wasn't allowed. But you had to put 2 things you were grateful for, and I put up the Christmas tree. This was like at Christmas time whenever I was there, and then my brother got his wheelchair, and I was pushing him really fast around the airport or whatever we were, and like I put on the first day I didn't know what to put, so I said I took a nap and I ate a cookie. And then on my last day there, I just slept because they would let you lay down if you wanted to, so I lay down on the floor and I went to sleep. I don't know if we were allowed to do that, but the people there were really chill and I don't think they really cared. But at first I was like the super good kid, like I did everything I was supposed to, but then towards the end I realized they didn't really care, so I just kind of stopped caring too. But I don't think being the youngest, it only affected me whenever the adults weren't around and you were just by yourself, because I ate by myself at lunch, and then I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't think that I really look my age. I think I look a little bit older than I am. And so they would talk to me at first, but then they'd be like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm 12." And I'd be like, "Okay, bye." They didn't really like that I was younger than all of them. And I got made fun of for my height a lot too, because I am like average height for normal people, but to them for people my age, I'm tall, and that kind of sucked. But I got really chubby cheeks. I don't know if you can tell, but my cheeks are like and that's really weird. But yeah. Yeah, I think that's all. I don't want to forget anything because I've already like recorded this whole video like 5 times and then forgot about stuff. Like this folder was back in my closet and I had to go find it, and I couldn't do that in the middle of recording the video. And yeah, I have like a ton of stuff all around me. Oh, for the seating, you were squished like really tightly next to people, and that was really awful. And it was also kind of creepy because they have this big window on one side, so like you would walk in the door and there'd be like, this is the door, I gotta use my metaphor, okay, this cup is the door, and then there'd be like a wall here, a window, a wall, a wall. So it'd be like all windows, but one wall was like a giant window and you could see out to the parking lot, so people would always look there for their cars and be like, "Oh yeah, I get to leave." And there would be crows that came every day, and it was really creepy because they would like swoop down and do like this like dance or whatever. I don't know what that is, but they would do like some crazy kind of thing, and that was really cool. And yeah, I'm making this really long. I should stop now. So I'll probably make more videos like this, just because I didn't want to do this whenever I was still going through stuff, because I think that would have been weird, but I was looking again recently and I didn't see anything like this. So basically, if you're going to a mental hospital and you're pretty young, then it'll be okay, because the adult people, the counselors and stuff, they'll look after you. And before I like stop recording, I'm gonna just tell you one little story that happened there that was really funny. Well, it was funny to like all the other people and me, I guess, but not to the doctor, because every day you have to go to see a doctor and like they could change your prescription or something. I'm currently on 15 milligrams of Prozac, which is a depression medication. And also, if you're there, and a lot of times they'll give you your medication, you're not supposed to have medication with you, but a lot of kids would keep it with them, like their parents would give it to them and be like, just in case you need it in the middle of the day. If somebody ever asks you for your medication, or like, you can tell them what it is if you don't care, like I don't care, but if they ever ask you for some of it, like if they're like, "Oh, I'm just feeling sad, you know, can you give me some of your Xanad or Prozac or whatever," then just say no, because that is really bad and you can get in a lot of trouble for that. And I didn't do that, but I saw other people do it, and so yeah. And then the doctor there, she would take your blood pressure every day, and she would walk in the room and like go around, and she has like this giant machine. I don't know, because you'd go up one by one into her room and answer questions, so I don't know why she just wouldn't do it then. But this one time she did it on me and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't get my blood pressure. So she walked around to the next people, and then she came back to me, and then she was like, "Oh, it's still not working." And then we had to go to the back room and she had to get the automatic one, and I missed like 30 minutes of my day, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, I might make more videos. I know I have drawing videos on my channel, and if you are into drawing, you should go check those out. They're really cool. And yeah, thanks for watching, and don't be nervous or scared, because your age doesn't matter. Bye. If I can stop recording. Okay.